All right, cool. We're officially live. What's going on, guys? Welcome, welcome. Apologies, had some technical difficulties. Hope you're all doing okay. I'm King Wabi. Hope you guys are doing all right. I'm here joined by THICCY. Amazing chat. I've gone on his spaces a couple of times. He does some streams with Taiki Maida. Shout out to him, one of the OGs in the DeFi farming and crypto space. I remember running into him back in DeFi summer, and yeah, I tune into his content all the time, man. So THICCY, what's going on, brother? Great to have you on, man. Glad we can finally get this started. We've been chatting for a couple of months now on your spaces. How are you today, my man? Great to have you.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. Excited to be on. I've always enjoyed, chatting with you. I feel like you have a way with words. So excited to discuss markets today.
Awesome, bro. So, listen, man, what are your thoughts going into Q2? I know you had some bearish thoughts to open the week, and here we are. Majors kind of struggling around, and not too much going around outside of meme coins and maybe some AI tickers. What are your thoughts for Q2 overall?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm still like trying to figure out my own long-term view. There are many arguments to be bullish and bearish. On the bullish side, like the ETF inflows are actually like still coming in quite consistently. Like Larry Fink and the IBIT flows especially have been quite strong. At like $150 million a day of inflows, like coupled with the halving, there just simply aren't enough coins to, hit the market for the price to settle here. So that's like certainly a strong argument for us to resolve upwards, in addition to like, stable coin supply still like going through the roof. Macro environment's very good. Equities are all-time highs. Rumors of rate cuts this year. But I guess on the downside is just like, a lot of top signals, a lot of alt supplies, but they hit the market and like just put a drag on the overall market in general. And I'm quite unsure. It seems like it's very choppy right now. I think Wabi dropped out.
Hey, apologies for that, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what were you saying about the halving and all that stuff, man? Guys, I'm not sure what is going on with this connection of mine, but I was streaming pretty cleanly on Market Check today. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out, man. But thank you. Apologies for that, man.
You're good.
We do
Oh, this is
have a.
live, right?
Yeah. This is live. Yeah.
Is there a delay between this?
I think so. No, I can hear you pretty cleanly. Like whenever you speak, it's just dropping me off for whatever reason. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm hoping we can make the 30-minute mark with no issues. But yeah, there is a comment here that says Thicky thought on Athena. I think that's sort of like Luna, in my opinion, man. It's like a mid curve way for Luna, and as long as there's volatility, that token should do well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's quite different from Luna. You know, the basis strategy that they run is like something that like every fund manager in the space is doing, where they're just like, let's say they're long ETH and then short ETH perp. And the perp is always trading higher than the spot in bull markets just because there's a huge demand for leverage. Everyone wants to be long 10x on perps. So like it does create like a legitimate real yield of like 30% or more. And there is no like death spiral or like reflexivity or like there's something actually backing it up, and it's very hard for it to like die the same way Luna does. So yeah, I think they're quite different.
So, what other narratives are you looking at? We have the ETH ETF happening. It's delayed. I know there's some people that might get positioned for it. We've got IE and Layer coming up and all that good stuff.
ETH ETF. Yeah, I think the market's sort of like fully digested that it's probably not going to come in May, and I don't think it's going to come this year either. It seems like the SEC is very anti-ETH. But you know, the nice thing about the justice system is that like it's slow, but it's like inevitable, and I think we might have to go through the whole court process again, like we do with the Grayscale Bitcoin, but ETH ETF will eventually come.
Awesome, bro. It's quite something to see all this come to fruition, right? Like, I think when I came into crypto in late 2017, I never thought that we'd actually, see these ETFs and all that stuff. Yeah.
Wabi.
What's up, Tucker?
What's the problem, brother?
Yeah. Yeah. For whatever reason, like, it's not. The stream isn't giving me admin rights. Like,
bro, you're live right now.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Like these streams usually go super perfect, but I have my Mac and all the bars are set. And I'm streaming off of my iPhone, and I've got my Mac in front of me, so I'm seeing two screens right now. But I think we're good now, as long as like you're the host.
What do you need? What do you need to have happen?
Just another host. That's it. Like you going on the hosted account, and yeah, we should be good. Just like that, man. But this is the first time we've ever had like an actual like interruption during stream outside of that one time on Spaces like months and months ago. So
all right, here I'll drop down and let you guys run. I'll just stay here though. Make sure it goes well.
Okay.
All right,
okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was an unfiltered moment, man. But man, when you came to the crypto space, what attracted you to it and all that stuff? Feel free to give an introduction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was working in TradFi as a high frequency trading firm for a few years. I got into crypto quite late, in like November 2021, and I guess what initially attracted me was just how inefficient it was. I was just like day trading Solana NFTs. That was like my first introduction into crypto, and made more money doing that than I did working my job. So it just seemed like the industry to be in. There's so much opportunity. So yeah, I tried to build a DeFi protocol for a year, and that failed. So I just started trading in 2023, and I've been trading pretty successfully for around a year and some change now.
Yeah, man. Trading on Solana is honestly a nightmare. I had claimed my wormhole airdrop right when it came out 2 days ago, and I was stuck on a transaction for like 3 hours. I couldn't do anything. And dude, what do you think the bull case is for Solana now that you're actually starting to see some issues with the system? I was of the belief that perhaps the speculation can get so wild that there was a case to be made where Solana could test the ETH market cap within 10%, but it seems that the closer and closer that Sol gets to breaking all-time high, the same problems that it had last bull run are happening right now. And Sol really likes to lead the broader altcoin market, whether it's ETH, it's kind of taking a step back now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely view Sol as like a major now. It trades similar to like Bitcoin and ETH, more so than like the distance between Sol and ETH is like smaller than like Sol in like the fourth place is definitely what it feels like.
Yeah, like I see a lot of people still using ETH BTC as a pair to see where altcoins are headed, man. But What projects are you looking at that don't really have tokens yet that excite you?
Mostly just like well, I don't know if I'm allowed to show my bags here, but like
Go ahead, man.
mostly
Go ahead, man. I like finding out about new projects and things like that all the time, man. You know me, brother. You know me, man.
It's funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about IONET, which is going to be on Sol. It's like an AI decentralized, like deep hidden network on Sol, like some GPU network on it. I think like AI is definitely there's not really much of a narrative right now for it just because all the NVIDIA events are over, but I think it's gonna be like in the news flow consistently this year. So it definitely makes sense for it to have a resurgence.
Yeah, and what's the do you know the FTV that's going on for INET right now?
The FTV,
Yeah, like what round they're closing at?
I think they. I don't know. Let me check.
I think it was like
I think
1.5
Series
mil.
A. They hit a $30 million for one bill from Hack and I think Multicoin.
Yeah, right on the money, man. You know, I found a pretty interesting statistic, man. I know we mentioned this ticker a lot. It was actually like how we started chatting. Tia topped out at just over 20 bill. And more recently, Ondo and Worm and ENA, they all hit just under 20 bill deep, man. So it seems like the market right now is having a ceiling for some of these things. But I guess the context really between Tia and a lot of these other things is that when Tia was pumping, the market was just starving for a narrative. All it had was Solana pumping. And when Sol pumped, everyone was wondering what else is there right now. So it's like, let's bid all the new, VC stuff, right? So there's not really an appetite for those things anymore. It's mainly just been on chain, man. What have you been doing as far as like on chain stuff goes?
I don't really do much, but my partner mainly does on chain trading. Just the usual flavor of the month stuff with like Bitcoin NFTs or with like the DGen coin. Yeah, just random.
I got absolutely fucked on DJ chain, man. That was
Really?
that was quite an experience. Yeah. Me
What
and
happened?
Tucker, so me and Tucker, we bridged like 2 ETH, and then it went up like 10x the next day. And we're like, fuck yeah, there's $80 million that was bridged across 24 hours. This thing is going to pump easily another 10x and make a clean 100x, right? But fast forward 2-3 days later, we're basically back at break even. Well, actually, no, we're actually down like 30-35%, because these things actually like retraced below our entry by like 30-40%. But yeah, it reminds me a lot of Phantom, if you remember last cycle with Spirit Swap and Boo. Like it's basically just like shitcoining on Phantom, and they would have these like crazy volatility cycles where like everything on chain would go up 30x and then go down by 95%, and then there would be like this stagflationary period where nothing would really do anything, and then repeat the same cycle over and over and over again. So do you think like diversification is going to play anything in this cycle, or do you think people should just be concentrated on a specific niche, man?
I think diversification earlier in the cycle was the move in alts. It's because like all these funds were deploying and like you didn't really know what they were going to buy next, so you just had to own the leader in every single category. I think now it's a bit more PvP and like rotational instead of like new inflows coming into the alts. So I think you can get away with just being more concentrated in your bets.
Yeah, I'm concentrated right now on memes and AI, man. How are you faring in the meme coin category, brother? We've never really spoken about that at all. Memes
I don't
like
really trade
Pepe
them
and
that
all
much.
that.
I don't really trade them that much. It's mostly my partner trading them.
Yeah. It seems like online really the only thing that can catch virality right now is dog with hat is number one, and then what's the other one? Pepe, and now of course some other things on Solana like Bowden, man. It's pretty crazy, dude. Like the activity on Solana, mind you, dude. I sold all of my Solana yesterday for ENA at 94 cents.
Oh wow.
So
Nice.
yeah.
You
Say
bought
that again.
ENA. You said it was the mid curves Luna. You bought it.
It is. So my whole thing is like, last cycle, my whole thing was Luna in 2019, like late 2019. I saw that video of Do Kwon shilling it on CNBC, and I'm like, I can get behind this guy. That was my thought. And Novogratz is backing this guy. And when I got in the market in December of 2017, Novogratz, no, it was Mike Novogratz and Ian Bellina. I followed them 1-to-1, and Novogratz was shilling EOS in Decentraland. So for all of 2018, I was buying EOS and I was buying Decentraland. Of course, Mana eventually played out, but EOS, I rotated that into Chainlink. I was a Link Marine in 2019 and 2020. But say that again.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah. So like when I found Doe on that CNBC thing that Mike had shared, I was pretty like big into DeFi, right? Like you were able to earn yield and like borrow and all that stuff on Maker. I think like you were able to get like 10-15% yield on your DAI. They just started printing and all that stuff, and there was less than 10 bill in TVL on DeFi Pulse, right? It's like a website. I don't even think it exists now, or maybe it does. I don't know. But there was less than $10 billion in DeFi, and my whole thing was like staked coins on DeFi are going to be insane. And I remember Doe's speech and all that stuff. I saw the white paper, and UST wasn't around at the time, and so COVID happened, and then I saw how Luna worked out. And I thought to myself, the more UST is printed, the more that this thing is going to go up, right? And there's this whole like death spiral and all that stuff. So with ENA, it's sort of like I can apply the same thing, but I have to say to myself, as long as there's volatility in the market, in the altcoin space, then this token should theoretically do good. And I know they're doing a lot of like RWA stuff with Maker. They sort of work in tandem, right? So the more USDE is printed, the more volatility in the altcoin space, then I should be good, right? And if we keep up the trends that we've seen every quarter, then over the course of like 4 or 5 quarters, ENA to me is a better risk to reward bet for overall DeFi than Solana, because I kind of feel that Solana has reached peak inner circle crypto attention grab, right? As far as like just market mind share, right? So I think ENA is going to appreciate more against Solana, and that's really all I know about it. You probably know more about Athena than I do, but that's sort of the left curve thesis, and also Kobe and Arthur are behind it. That's that's the other thing too. So just for full transparency, I've got like 15% of my net worth on Athena. So
Farming it or in the token?
in the token.
Nice. Token. Are you farming any?
Yeah. I'm not. I'm
Oh.
not
You're really good at finding these cults.
Say that again.
You're good at finding these cults. Like I feel like Lane was a cult, Luna was a cult, Tia was like a cult.
Yeah, Tia was gnarly, man. I broke up with that one back in like January, and I don't regret it at all. Same thing with modularity. Like the whole thesis behind it, I kind of think it's died out in my honest opinion, because you can't actually do anything on modular stacks except speculate on the story. Like you can't do anything with the tokens yet, right? Like just look at what's happening on ETH on chain right now. Like it's actually coming back slowly, even though the ETH token is depreciating against Bitcoin. The actual activity on chain is is slowly creeping back, right? You've got AI stuff, RWAs, and all of that, man. But how about yourself, man? How do you view crypto cults, and how
I'm
do you
not good
think
at.
this next? Say
I'm
that
not good
again.
at. I'm really bad at cults. I feel like, yeah, I'm not good at like prescribing like a value to these cults. I always feel like they're overpriced, but clearly there's a lot of money to be made finding these cults. Super early, like you have been. But yeah, I was gonna ask you something. I can't remember. I'll have to come back to it.
Feel free to ask anything, man. Anything at all. But let me ask you this, man. It's more of a dubious take, man. So, um, do you think this cycle is gonna be anything like prior cycles, where the peak ends up in Q4 of the post halving year, or do you think, like, with the introduction of ETFs, it's sort of made Bitcoin into a low vol instrument, and it's more correlated to the equity markets and all that stuff? And just to add some context, right? Because I don't want to throw you any loaded questions here. There were many times, right? Like in 2018, for example, where SPX and NASDAQ would make an all-time high, but Bitcoin would be in a downtrend. And so with the introductions of ETFs and all that stuff, like IBIT and all that, and perhaps even future ones, including ETH, maybe there's a case to be said where, maybe Suzu was late to the super cycle by a full cycle. Maybe this is the super cycle.
I think this might be. There's certainly an argument for that, given that there's a lot of new money coming in with ETFs. Yeah, to be honest with you, you probably know better than me about like cycle theory and like post-year halvings. I've only seen like 0.75 cycles. I've been here for like 2 years, so like I'm not sure about like those longer term fractals. I mainly focus just on like super short term views, like anywhere from like a few days to like maybe a few weeks. But yeah, I'll defer to you on that one.
Yeah, I guess like more short term, something that's pretty exciting would be Tau, right? There was quite a bit of Tau FUD, and I know on your spaces over the last, basically since the beginning, we've been talking about crypto AI, outside of like modularity and L1s and all that stuff, man. But what are you thinking about Tau in the immediate short term, man? Do you think this thing can have a resurgence and perhaps like create a fully dominated AI run, where everything is really focused on AI instead of like these weird pockets of like, oh, Tau is the flavor of the week, and next week everyone forgets about it. Oh, here comes Tau again. I kind of feel like
Yeah,
at some point, yeah.
like I think you'd be able to, I think you'd be better to answer this more than me, because I mean, if you saw the Eric Wall bud that like initially caused the move down, like the tech really is kind of uninspiring. And I've always thought this, but like when I thought this in December, it was obviously way too early, and it like 10x or something. I do think it's a cult. Like I just saw, like they have like meetups all over the world. Like Metallic attends these meetups. I saw like Metallic at a Tau meetup in Singapore, and I was like, wow, like this thing is actually like people like this thing. So like given that, I think it'll always be around. There'll always be like a cult around it, and you know, maybe you can do well.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Tao, man, we have a history together. I made like a super long thread on crypto AI and Tao, and I think back then you were only able to buy it on a Discord or on like the BitTensor exchange.
Yeah.
And then like we had that initial pump, if you remember, in Q1 of 2023, and then I just forgot about it because I thought shit on Arbitrum was gonna go crazy, which it really didn't. It was like everything there pumped for like 2 weeks, and then people just forgot about it. I sort of feel that Ethereum and all these L2s, right? Like specifically the L2s, man, like from a user experience, they're really no different than L1s, because even L2s sometimes get congested and they have gas issues and all that stuff, man. But like as you said, right, you don't really like mess with any of this weird DeFi stuff. You're more of like perps and all that stuff, man. But there is a question from
Well,
Bud.
let me ask you, Bobby,
Go ahead.
before we get to that. You
Yeah.
know, I always appreciate your perception of like how, you know, high testosterone the founding team is. And I feel like,
Oh,
you know, at first
yeah.
at first I was like that's an interesting metric. Like I don't know if I use it myself, but now I realized, I kind of realized this while I was talking to you, even though we've talked like many times before, is that like, you know, I think your alpha is like finding these cults before, really early. And, you know, a really important thing about finding good cults is that like there needs to be strong, like inspiring, charismatic leadership. So like my question to you is like, out of all these cults that you've you know, are in or invested in, like how would you rank their leadership teams in terms of like how inspiring they are?
Yeah, so
That's wild.
so this is going to be very biased of mine's. As far as leadership goes, I would say Nick from Celestia is number one.
Yeah.
Because number one, dude, look at that guy's jaw. Like that is like he's an actual real life Giga Chad. And Mustafa was actually banned from using the internet as a teenager. So like as far as leadership goes, it would probably be them, but you know, I remember when like it was like you actually helped me out to time the top. You had told me, sometimes these people have market making deals and all that stuff, and I did a little bit of research, and I'm like, all right, if they do the same market making deal, then it probably tops out at 3618. And over here, because Bitcoin, we like to use some technical analysis. I know that's like, some people like to say that's weathermen and all that stuff, but it's helped me preserve my capital because I got blown up in 2018. I got blown the fuck up. And in 2022, I ignored my TA and I ate some drawdown for the first half and all that stuff. So outside of that, dude, like if we break it down sector by sector when it comes to AI, I've never seen a video of the BitTensor guy, so I'm not sure how to say that, but maybe gaming is the next one that has like leadership, but it's more so in the community, right? So take a look at like Alex Becker and all that stuff. I think people like that are becoming more prominent content creators and all of that. So there's not really like a lot of high T people within DeFi, to be honest. Like,
it's hard. Wait, what do you think of the ENA founders? What do you think of Guy?
Yeah. So with Athena, I just think Arthur Hayes, right? Like, I consider ENA Arthur Hayes' social token, and I think that could be a narrative, right? Like social tokens and all that stuff. Novogratz had Luna be his social token last cycle. Zoo had AVAX as his social token last cycle. So really, like, I think an effective strategy is just implementing what occurred last cycle and implementing that for this cycle, right? Like, if you're bullish on INET, right, do you use Ansem as Confluence, or is that just part of your own personal due diligence?
I think it is. It's both, for sure. I feel like, back in the day, we used to look at like, oh, what sexes is it listed on as like a signal for how high pump? Because, if it's got a good sex, have a good distribution, good, like just a lot of money willing to buy it. And I feel like KOLs are also now part of that distribution formula. It's like not just what sex is listed on, but like which KOL is sort of championing it. So like, obviously like Ansem's like the Binance of KOLs.
KOLs, man. I have a story to tell you, man. I went to a restaurant the other day, and it felt like I got a pretty heavy weight off of my back, and I finally admitted to a very close person of mine a secret that I've been holding in, man, for the last couple of months.
Oh,
So for those of you on the stream, I admitted that I am indeed a KOL. Yep.
we've always known that.
Yep. I'm a KOL, man. I'm a key opinion leader. So
Wait, what is
yeah.
that? What does that mean to you? What does it mean to be KOL?
It feels good to be a micro niche influencer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So being a key opinion leader, it's a lot of responsibility, right? So anytime you post, you really have to be aware that there's someone on the other side really looking at you for guidance and clarity when it comes to these markets. So I'm proud to be KOL number 1560. So yeah,
What's that number?
I just made it up, man. I just made it up off the top of my mind. But
That's cool.
there's a question for you, Thicky.
Yeah.
Because I know we like something about altcoin supplies. Thicky, can you talk about altcoin supply overhang continuing into the new year? Can the market absorb all the new launches and inflation / unlocks from current tokens?
I think it really depends on, like, there being money coming into the ecosystem. That money can either come from like ETFs, it can come from funds raising from investors, it can come from retail buying meme coins and buying altcoins. So like as long as that outweighs the amount of emissions that get sold, then we can continue going up. And if not, then yeah, it's tough. It's just like hard to estimate how much actually gets sold. It's easy to measure how much emissions are created, but the amount that gets sold is also like very low percentage for that. Depending on the market regime, it can be very high when things are going down, and it gets really reflexive.
Yeah, and then there's a question about CBDCs and all that stuff. I don't really have too much of an opinion on anything regarding CBDCs. I sort of think that like everything that we do in crypto land has been a test for what's to come, and I think it's probably USDC that ends up being the CBDC, and so it'll probably be something like, oh, if you download this wallet, you get like 3,000 USDC or something like that. And yeah, what are your thoughts on CBDCs, man, and all that stuff? Not to get like political on the show or anything.
I think they're good technology, like using cash or using like our version of like wiring is very inefficient and slow, and other countries like China already have CBDCs implemented, and it's like very easy to like pay for things there. I do think paying in cash is like a nice privacy from the government, just like watching us and seeing what you spend money on and potentially regulating it. So I would not support it being like the only form of currency, but like I do think there are some efficiency gains from it.
Yeah. I saw a bit of a nightmare scenario on the timeline, right? It says the year is 2037, and you're on your Solana Saga 10 phone, and you're on SoulScan trying to find the next Bowden, which is now a $1 trillion, $2 trillion asset, and milk and yeah, and milk is now $27.99 a gallon. Welcome to your life. Yeah, it's like this is the metaverse, right? Like it really is the metaverse, and like, dude, this Sam Altman guy, I know he's adding in a lot of production. Probably, I think Sam Altman's probably going to account for like 10% of the GDP if he continues to like produce this amount of product. The amount of people he's going to onboard to AI for work, and even just people that are going to be streamlined to participate in CBDC is going to be so great. It kind of reminds me of this dystopian future, right? Like instead
Yeah.
of searching, for jobs on Google, you're on Deck Screener trying to find the 10K market cap token with your CBDCs or something like that. And it's like, if I can't snipe this contract on time, I'm not going to be able to have my groceries for the next month.
Jeez, that's probably what's happening right now, dog.
Likely, like that whiff guy. Did you see the video of the guy dancing? It was like,
Yeah, that was cringe.
yeah, they made a token off of him, dude. Believe it or
No
not. Yeah, I saw it launch at like 250K market cap, but I couldn't use Solana today either. I tried getting a few shitcoins, and me and Tucker, we were on Radium, and that is honestly the worst product I have ever used in the 7 years I've been in this industry. Like, my worst experience in a bull market is using Solana. It is very,
Really,
very bad.
it would be that bad. At least you're not paying fees and having it fail too.
Yeah, but I guess the caveat to that would be this, Sticky. Like, would you rather go to the Four Seasons hotel where you're taken care of, you have your room and board all nice and clean with your meals all set up, or going into a motel and you don't know what's there? Like, you're going into a motel and there's no one at the front. You just have to open a door and pray that there's not like a hydra ready to pop out you from the toilet.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's a lot of for you.
Yeah, that's Solana, man.
But what's the Four Seasons then? What's the Four Seasons if that's Solana?
No, Four Seasons is ETH, right? Like, you already know what to expect. Yeah, because listen, like, you already know what to expect. You know it's expensive, but you know you're going to be taken care of. You know the security is good. You know other people that have come in and out of there. It has a nice history and all that stuff.
Okay.
From a fundamental standpoint, I think ETH is like the king of all coins, but price appreciation and fundamentals, I always like to separate them, right? Because if fundamentals like really, really mattered, then Celestia would probably be like top 2 or some shit like that, right? Because with data availability and all that stuff, like all this can be solved, right? Like chains crashing, transactions not happening, transactions being reverted. You would think that something like Celestia would be able to fix all that, but we're probably like 15, 20 years from now from that. And I think in 15 to 20 years, like, we won't really be as focused on these markets as we are right now, because we're doing this because we're young, right? And we have the energy for it, right?
How
Like,
old are you?
me, I'm 26.
Oh, we're the same age.
Yeah. So it's like, if you apply the same years that you've been in this market, you have to like triple it, right? Because after men turn 35, their testosterone starts depleting by a couple of percentage points a year, right? So if you apply that with markets, multiply that by like 5. And I remember talking to one guy a couple of days ago. He's from this group called Gem Hunters, and he's pushing 40, and he's like, "Man, Wabi, it's really getting to me. I've been here for 10 years, and over the last 12 months, I've just felt like shit. I haven't been able to go as hard as I used to." And it's like, this market, Thicky, and you can give your thoughts on this too. This market will buy so much time and preserve it and have you reach escape velocity more so than any other market, right? Like, this market gives you opportunities like WIF, where if you're active, you saw this thing run from 10 cents to 50 cents, pull back to 25, consolidate at 20 to 25, and it still did like a 25x from there in a month and a half. You don't get that in the stock market. You don't get that in emerging markets. You just don't. And even though people say that, oh, this cycle is different, there's not going to be another cycle, maybe not for Bitcoin and ETH, But outside of that, this market is the best for reaching escape velocity in the least amount of time possible.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah, man. But dude, it's been great chatting to you, man. Are you doing spaces by any chance this weekend?
Tomorrow. I'm not even doing right now. Fuck it.
Bro, dude, that'd be sick, man. Running two streams back to back.
Back to
So
back. I just copped off the Steady Lads one, so this might be a third one in a row. But feeling social
yeah,
today.
yeah, dude, that would be great, man. I know sometimes your spaces are so random, and dude, when I miss them, bro, it's honestly it's such a shame because there's a lot of good alpha on those spaces, and a lot of like hardcore crypto natives pop in and out. And I think we saw Hasaka pop into your spaces as a listener when you had I forgot his name, but
British guy.
I think
Cred.
no. You had him on like 2 weeks. I think his name was Josh, if you remember.
Oh yeah, the traders one. That one was good.
Yeah. He is damn good, like insanely good.
Yeah.
He's probably like the most alpha profile that I've come across with such little amount of followers, dude. Like he's probably the best small profile that I've come across. And
Did you find him through the spaces?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Oh, sick.
Did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool here.
Yeah, I think Twitter Spaces is probably the greatest tool that I've used this cycle, in my honest opinion, because you just pop in, and if you're like lucky enough, you'll be on the panel and you get to ask people questions and just talk some shop, man. So, yeah, Thicky, man, if you're gonna pop onto Spaces, dude, I'll go in and join you, brother. But before I close off, man, what's your price prediction for the cycle top?
80K.
80K for BTC for cycle top?
Yeah.
Can you give me a 3-sentence thesis on that? Just 3 sentences. 3 sentences.
I think it'll take a lot of money to take us up there. And I think we've already seen a lot of the one-time flows. And yeah, I think we're like almost there. I think we're almost there. It's hard to come up with that money. Like $10 billion is a lot of money, and that's what sent it. We actually had close to 25 billion of inflows that took us from 40 to 73. Let me get another 10 billion, take us to like around 80, 67, 68, and then there. Kind of pessimistic.
Yeah, it is, man. But you give the rationale during the bull season, and many people, forget that, whenever you have large appreciation, sometimes it's good to take off the table. Actually, I'm gonna be telling that to myself. I've got 100% of my net worth.
No, I'm long too right now. Don't worry. I realized that I don't dream big enough. Like I don't dream big enough. So like my targets are always too low. But I always know when to sell. I'm great at calling that top when it comes in rounds and it looks like it's about to die. I'm like great at calling right before it's about to die. So yeah, just wait for that signal and just keep riding until that comes. It could go higher.
Yeah, man. I got to keep you within my circle until the music stops, man. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I like to believe the stories and the narratives, man. Bro, just look at Celestia. It's basically acting just like Injective. That is pain. That is honest pain. Imagine just holding that while everything else rallies for like 4 months, right?
It's painful.
So, yeah.
You sold it top?
I sold near $20.
Jeez.
It was like if you go to my highlights on my page, there's a post that I made saying celebrating TIA breaking into the top 30 market cap. Right around that time frame, I sold 90%.
Wow.
And then I sold the last 10% last week. So
nice.
No regrets.
Right. You wrote that up from like what, 250, 3?
Yeah, I got in at 215. I got in at Celestia at $2.15.
Jeez.
And then in between, yeah, and in between there, like I had actually made like a leverage trade that I won't disclose here, but like let's just say that like more than 100% of my net worth was in that bad boy. And you only have a few of those trades in your lifetime. And there's a finite amount of time for you to do that, right? Like if you get into the market at say like 17, 18 years old, you probably have a clean, 10 to 12 years to just go ape shit, just go balls to the wall. You can probably blow up twice. And in between that time period, you only get a handful of trades where it's the Hail Mary trade. And by Hail Mary, I mean like sizing in with size and that position being liquid, because there's a difference between putting in, say, like 500K into an asset that's like 300 mil market cap and then seeing that do a 10 to 15x compared to putting in like, $500 or $1,000 on a random shitcoin that does a 40x and then just dies, right? There's a huge difference between that, right? And I guess that's why like VCs, right, because they work with a large amount of capital, they don't really like to trade. They'd rather get their gains from private markets rather than public markets, right? Because, why would I buy, Solana, for example, at $200, right, with 200 mil size when I could just put that 200 mil into the latest like funding round with 300 mil FDV, and by the time it gets to the public market, I'm already up like 20x, 25x, and by the time I'm liquid, I'm up like 900%, right? And that's not, then that 900% is with size. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. Thicky, any last words, brother, before we close out here?
I don't think so. Yeah, always enjoy chopping it up with you. You like, I don't know, something about you just makes you smile.
I appreciate it, big dog. I like making people smile. So, yeah, unfortunately, this stream wasn't as smooth as some of our other previous streams. Apologies, guys, whether you're here in the audience or whether you're watching the recording. Next stream here on YouTube will be Thursday, but as always, you guys can catch me here on YouTube Mondays and Fridays at 11 a.m. EST, and then on Spaces Monday through Friday, with the exception of when I go live on YouTube at 4:30 p.m. EST. So if you guys enjoyed the content, feel free to give this video a like. Feel free to leave any comments, all that stuff. Subscribe to the channel. We just crossed 10K followers earlier this week. We're now above 11K, which is just absolutely crazy, guys. We're getting thousands of views across all of our content. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And thank you for guys like you, Thicky, that have been, talking markets with me. And yeah, I love doing this for a living. So Tucker, if you want to end the stream, if you're still here, man, I'd appreciate that, brother. Are you still here? Is Tucker still here, Thicky? Hold on. Give me 1 second.